Welcome everybody to Mondays with Max. As you all know, I am Max Voltage, here to semi-entertain you for the next hour. I think you guys all entertain yourselves. I think that's why you guys all come, just because of the chat. Anyway, thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate it. Let me start from the top. Crypto Craig. Actually, because I reset my chat, I'm not getting everybody from the beginning. So anyway, Crypto Craig, Automatic Beats, Crypto Perks, Cody Johnson, Patrick Guyan, Chump Change is even here. Second TL Mining, thank you, sir. The Pirate, Ursa Prime, Travelers Travels, Bacon Eggs in Hash. Yes, you make me hungry. You're making me hungry. Greek Geek of all Trades, good to see you, sir. Aragorn Strider, Chuck Danger, the Toxic Miner. Let's see, who else? Mind Some 10. Good to see you, sir. Keep up the good content. Gordon Murray, Burn. Probably gonna have a little bit fewer people will be my guest tonight, just because it is a holiday weekend. S. Chang, Way Too Fast for Ya, and Golden Wolf. Good evening from Chicago area somewhere. Anyway, alrighty. Way Too Fast for Ya says, just made a video with the E9 Pro Fruits and Associates ASIC shroud setup. Yeah, that seems to be the popular thing to do. It actually kind of makes me think a little bit more about possibly getting an ASIC, because right now I would never get an ASIC because I don't have a shed, and it would just be way too loud for the house. So now I'm kind of like, well, get one of those, maybe. Anyway, not really sure yet, but it has made me start to think a little bit about possibly getting one of those. Well, before we get into the topic I have for tonight, let's look at the crypto markets. Of course, I forgot to previously share the screen. There we go. Share and add a scene. There we go. So I decided I wanted to look at the weekly. I didn't want to look at the daily. Daily was red. Just didn't want to look at it. So don't you like green? Green's a much nicer color. So for the week, we're up over 3% with Bitcoin. We're up over 4% on Ethereum. Not too shabby on the week. Solana was up even more than that. What were they up? They were up. No, that's for the day. We know the day's down. I'm looking for the week. All right. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to click. I wanted to click other. There we go. 5.6% is what it is up for the week. So not too bad. Even Filecoin's up 5%. Not too shabby. Of course, you got Raven Coin that's down, ICP that's down. Yeah, actually owned HBAR for a while. That's actually up 1.26%. And Polkadot up 3%. Really looks like a lot of the things that are related to Ethereum are doing well, especially layer 2. There was a story that came out this week that there was a lot more layer 2 activity than there has been. Actually, I think they set new records for layer 2 transactions. So that's probably why a lot of the layer 2 coins are up. So anyway, well, before I get started, oh, actually, I forgot I wanted to check crypto bubbles. So I don't even know what half these things are that are down a ton. Hex is down 37%. PulseX is down 29.7. Pulse is down 22.5. And again, this is for the week. FLR, whatever that is. FTM, that's not FTT, that's different. That's down 8.4%. Render's up 4% for the week. Pepe's down 6.2%. So kind of all over the place for the week, honestly. No general trend. A little bit of a trend up, I would say, but still a lot of things that are down. Ape is down 6.5%. And there's BTC there, up 3.3. Alrighty. Well, let's talk a bit about what my main subject was. And this is I've been getting some questions from people and people who are building their proof of useful work builds, and really got me thinking about, hey, when you're planning one of these builds, what do you need to know? Especially if you're building it from scratch. If you're building it from, say, like a workstation um, like Mining King was, that would be a little bit different, but you still have to do some research ahead of time to make sure, in his case, which he found out was making sure you had the right power supply to supply it. So thank you, Zabirid, for just becoming a member. Very much appreciate it. Welcome to OnlyFlans. But I'm thinking more about if you are building a computer from scratch. So I have a few notes. Crypto Craig. He's not a plant, I promise you. He's not a plant. Anyway, I originally started out this idea of like the top 10 computer building mistakes, but kind of went into it a little bit differently. And really what it came down to is it's just a lot of planning ahead of time and making sure you know what you're doing ahead of time before you actually start building the computer. So one of the things, as you're putting together your build, things may say that they're compatible, but there may be things you have to do to make sure that they are compatible. For instance, when you are getting a motherboard, it may say, like, for instance, it's 12th gen and 13th gen compatible, but you may be trying to put a 13th gen, but it has a 12th gen BIOS on the motherboard. So you need to update the BIOS. So knowing whether or not you need to update the BIOS is really, really important. And on top of that, figuring out, okay, can I update the BIOS myself? In other words, if you don't have a 12th gen processor, how can I update? Can I update this motherboard without a processor in it? Retro Mike Tech just became a member. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciated. So that's really, really important, is making sure you know if you have a workable BIOS or whether or not you need to update it. I know, like, for instance, when I built this computer, it was a 5600X, and the B550 needed to be updated to a newer BIOS in order to be compatible. And Retro Mike Tech didn't just buy one for himself, but he bought one for 5 new people. And Automatic Beats, No Excuse, Hilo Crypto, Guillaume Plouf, and Novabor Tech. I swear to God, this is rigged against Crypto Craig. Sorry, Crypto Craig. Anyway. So Bacon Eggs and Hash, do I need to tweak the BIOS like CPU mining under an overvoltage and stuff? Well, if you are, as far as proof of useful work, I think that's going to be kind of time will tell. There's going to be a lot of tweaking to see what we can and cannot do to maximize or minimize our power while at the same time not affecting how we get paid. So again, yes, being efficient is going to be important for that, as well as making sure you don't generate too much heat. Because these are going to be basically on full bore. They're going to take whatever they can unless you underclock them. So anyway, obviously that'll be, once we get into the benchmarks, we'll be able to tell a little bit more about that. So we'll have to see about that. But anyway, so yes, first thing first, make sure your BIOS is workable. If it works, you don't necessarily need to change it right away. Definitely would suggest updating it, but after the fact, but you don't need to do it right away if it's compatible. And overall, check compatibility. For example, when we're talking about compatibility, make sure that your GPU will fit inside the case you're planning to build in. And I'm not just talking about the length of the GPU. I'm talking about the height of the GPU and what type of connector it has on it. So for example, if you have a 4000 series, like a 4070 Ti, a 4080, 4080 Ti, or 4090, that would be bad to say, if you didn't have enough headroom basically above it. So planning for that room at the PCIe connector with the adapter is important. Now, if you have one of those and it is a little tight, there is a company, I'm drawing a blank on it, somebody I'm sure will type it in the chat, but there's a company that actually makes 90-degree and 180-degree connectors, so it doesn't interfere with the window. When these GPUs first came out, there were a lot of people that were just leaving their glass off because it was interfering. So building a new computer, don't generally want to do that, affects airflow, all that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure you're planning for that as well. We're getting to that. Bacon, eggs, and hash. So the other thing to keep in mind also, and I ran into this on that computer, is if you want to have RGB on your computer, make sure that whatever you have is compatible with the motherboard. So that motherboard is a little bit older. It only has an RGB connection on it. It does not have an ARGB or a DRGB connection on it. But the actual fans on that were ARGB fans. So I needed to get creative. I actually got an adapter, basically got an ARGB controller. So I'm controlling those with a separate remote. So probably wouldn't have done that necessarily, but again, I didn't plan for that on that computer because it didn't really matter that much to me. But once I was like, oh, for like $12, I can get an ARGB controller, connect it up to that, and then make the color whatever I want it to be. But again, just make sure that you know what you're getting into as far as RGB on your computer. And then fan power, depending on how many fans you've got, you need to make sure you either have enough connectors or you have a fan hub or some way of daisy chaining them. One of those three things, depending on the type of fans you have. Making sure you have enough connectors on your motherboard to accommodate all the fans you might have. Mike Hill with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You're welcome for the info. You'll be trying proof of useful work or proof of work? Which one do you mean? Let's see. Let me see what else other people had to say. How do you recommend to do solar when in a neighborhood using a solar installer? Any you like? Okay. I will get back to that. Remind me dividend investing. I will get back to. I can talk solar till I'm blue in the face, but I want to get through this first. So I'll come back to that. The other thing is planning how you're going to install your AIO. If you have an AIO, obviously, if you have a just a air CPU cooler, then it's a lot simpler. Still need to follow the instructions, and I'll get into that as far as how to mount the CPU cooler and make sure that you're paying attention. But on the AIO, if you are mounting it, don't ever mount it on the bottom. That's the key. And unless you have to know where your impeller basically is. Where is the thing that's creating the flow? Basically, you don't want that to be in an area of an air pocket. So generally, it's going to be in the actual CPU block itself. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's actually in the radiator somewhere, either on the top or the bottom. But that's pretty rare. Most of the time it's in the actual CPU block. So for most AIOs, you want to make sure that the AIO CPU block is not at the highest point in the loop. That's the key. And you'll see diagrams in some of these manuals that are like, well, don't do it this way. And people assume that to mean that the tube should be down or the tube should be up. And it's not a matter of which way. If you're mounting it on the front, whether the tube should be down or the tube should be up, it just means that the tubes, if you're mounting it up high, you need to make sure that's higher than your CPU block. If you're mounting it tubes down, you got to make sure it's all the way up so that the bottom of the radiator, or well, the top of the radiator in this case, is above. So that would be where your air pocket would reside. So me personally, I just put it in the top and don't ever have to worry about it. So Travelers Travels, 3 months of memberships. Sadly, your bandwidth won't let you participate in proof of useful work. Wah, wah. Well, yeah, I think it's going to vary a bit. I know I'm hoping that my 42 megabits per second will be enough to participate. And I'm hoping that by the end of the year, Comcast will have increased the upload speed so that I'll have a better option for participating and be able to provide better service on the network. So sorry to hear that, Travelers Travels, but you know, this is just another opportunity for Terra, honestly, and other hosting providers to host proof of useful work rigs. Not sure if anybody's really thought thoroughly, because we don't have the benchmarks as far as if they would make something and you could rent it out, or if you would send it down. I don't know any of that yet. And Hawk has not said anything about that, but definitely understand that if upload's a concern, hosting providers don't have that same concern. So it might be an opportunity for any of them to take advantage of that particular market if it's lucrative enough for the individual to do that. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Okay, going back. So we were just talking about the CPU cooler. Very, very important to read the manual when you're installing the CPU cooler. Got to make sure that you're putting on the correct backplate, if it's applicable, and you're using the correct screws to go into that backplate. Generally, there could be at least 4 different mounting options and combinations. So want to make sure that you're using the correct ones when you're mounting it. And why is that important? Because that's what defines like where that connection is made when the actual CPU block hits, or I should say hopefully hits, the IHS of the CPU itself. That connection is really important, that the right amount of pressure is, because basically when you are screwing down that block, if you've installed it correctly and the CPU block manufacturer, CPU cooler manufacturer has done it correctly, you should bottom out those screws. Shouldn't be just tightening, because you're going to have springs underneath that. So of course it's going to get tighter and tighter and tighter and be harder and harder. And you're like, oh, well, it's tight, right? No, that's just the springs. Got to make sure you bottom them out, and then you know that it's on the right tightness. You should bottom those out. So, anyway, that's just something to keep in mind there. I talked about that. So the one thing that was just brought up a little bit ago is making sure you're using the correct type of M.2 NVMe connection for the slot that you have on the motherboard. So some motherboards will accept, many motherboards will accept either NVMe or standard M.2 SATA in that first slot, but some don't. Some is just straight NVMe. So it's really important to understand what that is. The other thing to understand there, especially as you're looking at proof of useful work, is knowing how that chipset interacts with the different slots. So for instance, if the first slot is sharing the same lanes with the M.2, you may end up with 8 and 8. It's not typical, but just really make sure you look at the manual for your motherboard. Make sure you know how those PCIe slots are going to be allocated, given the different things that you install. So, and obviously, in most cases, if you install a second GPU, well, I shouldn't say most cases. In some cases, you may be 8 and 8. Some you may be 16 and 4. Others you may be 16 and 8. So know that if you put 2 GPUs in there, know how those PCIe lanes are going to be allocated. And then I've seen this mistake made so many times. If you have a cheaper motherboard, make sure you install the IO shield before you install the motherboard. I've seen it happen so many times on YouTube builds where somebody actually forgets to put in the IO shield. So don't forget to do that. Don't be one of those guys. Oh, and then I just already talked about that. So those are kind of the main things that I've seen people make mistakes on. Some very basic things. You know, just recently I had somebody that did not install things in the correct order, and so there wasn't the connection between the CPU cooler and the CPU itself. So went into the BIOS and maxing out at 90 degrees C. I'm like, yeah, that's not making a connection. We got to figure out what part of that install is incorrect. And we figured it out. It was corrected and went down to 31. So that's another thing to really be doing when you get post. Make sure that you're looking at what your CPU temperature is. Definitely want to make sure that you're not maxing out your CPU temperatures. Want to make sure that you have very reasonable temperatures. So anyway, anybody else have anything? Crypto perks, IO shield. What are those? Never seen one. Yeah, I mean, if you're buying more expensive boards, you know it's an integrated IO shield. So yeah, and those definitely look a heck of a lot nicer, no question. I do not have an IO shield on my computer that I have here, but the one back there, that one has an IO shield. So yeah, I put in a cheaper one. That's the one that runs the nodes, or at least 4 nodes is what it runs. Ted says, remember to take the plastic film off the bottom of the CPU cooler. That's a good one. That's a very good one. What was that? And no, but Sunflower Mama says, and don't forget to take the peels off the fans. Yeah, that's not quite as important as taking the plastic off of the actual cover off of the CPU cooler. It's funny because actually yesterday, the person I was working with, I actually said, point the CPU block, underside of the CPU block towards me, because I wanted to make sure that this person had taken that cover off. So, which they had not made that mistake. So, make sure in Retro Mike says, make sure you have sufficient cooling. I rented 4 systems on Core AI today, and all 4 had GPUs thermal throttling. That's a really good point. Yeah, you always want to make sure that you have enough airflow. So actually on the computer I built, I actually had 3 GPUs in here running at one point. I had 2 in the slots, and then I had 1 hanging. But in this particular computer, it's a Lee LandCool Mesh 2. And so I've got 3 fans in the front, 1 fan in the back. I've got an AIO on the top with 2 fans blowing out. And then I have 2 fans on the bottom that are blowing directly into, well, at that point it was blowing into the bottom GPU. And obviously I had a little bit extra that was blowing into the top GPU, because I had a small 2-fan GPU in the bottom, and then I had a 3-fan GPU in the top. So it was able to get its own fresh air. And then the front fans that were blowing in were blowing into the fan that was the GPU that was hanging. So yes, you want to make sure that you have plenty of airflow. Boinker 139. But are those fans turned up to 11? Why do they need to be turned to 11? Because it goes to 11. I love the reference. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Big Willie, wasn't it Baldini who left the plastic on a CPU cooler? I was gonna let that person remain unnamed. Yeah, he's not even here to defend himself, Big Willie. Really? Jeez. So unfair. So unfair. Let's see. Ted said, if Linus can do it in a live build, for sure we can do that. LOL. I'm not sure which part you are referring to. Leaving the plastic on. Did he leave the plastic on at one point? I know he's definitely made quite a few mistakes when he's done live builds. I've seen him. Actually, what was it the other day? I was watching somebody do a live build. Oh, I remember. Somebody was doing a live build and they were putting the CPU cooler on. This is a pro tip, as they put it. They were putting an AIO CPU cooler on, and they were installing it before they had actually put in the CPU cooler power. So the CPU cooler power is like in the upper left, and they were installing the AIO up on top. Well, you do that, and that's going to cover up the top part of your motherboard and make it really difficult to get that CPU cooler in. So me and about 4 other people are all chiming up a lot within the chat going, put the CPU cooler power in before you place the IIO in the case. And finally, the person who was actually the cameraman got their attention and got them. It was actually it was Hardware Unboxed. Actually, Hardware Unboxed was videotaping a build for somebody, and yeah, they were going to do that. I couldn't remember who it was, but anyway, so yeah, even the people that make, I mean, they probably build at least 4 or 5 computers a year, but even the best of us can make mistakes because every build is different. Every computer case is a little bit different. Some computer cases have plenty of headroom above the motherboard, so placing the CPU power after you've done that is usually no big deal. So it just depends. It really, really depends. But as he was placing it, you could tell there wasn't going to be much room, and it would have been extremely difficult for him to do that. So that's what I always talk about it. Plan your builds. If you look at like Jay's 2 cents, he plans his builds. He really plans out his builds before he starts building. If you ever watch him do a build, he does them extremely well because they've been planned out. He knows what he has to do. I don't know if any of you guys subscribe to Robitech. I can't watch him. He's asking the audience what to do sometimes. At least back when I was watching him about, I don't know, 9-10 months ago to like 12 months ago was when I used to watch him. I can't watch him. It's so frustrating. This guy's supposed to know what he's doing. He's, contracting builds that he's supposed to be building, and you can tell by like what he's doing, he didn't prepare for the build. He's like figuring it out on stream, which I guess maybe is appealing to some people. It's frustrating to me. But anyway, that's just me. All right, let me scroll down. Don't see any. Yeah, unfortunately, Retro Mike, I did not see I saw that you posted a Clore video. It's like one of the only videos I didn't watch today. Ted says Linus did a trouble off between Steve and Jay. That is a really good lessons on troubleshooting builds. Yes. Those guys are the 2 pros, honestly. And the problem is I think, if I remember correctly, Steve won that, but Jay plans out his build so much that he doesn't run into problems very often. So for him, he's not used to seeing a lot of these mistakes, so he doesn't know like this is a symptom of this mistake because he doesn't make that mistake. So I don't know. That's kind of the way I looked at it. But anyway, Big Willie, Jay also pre-builds his projects, takes it apart, and then assembles it again. Yeah, that's true. That is true. I do know that he does that. But I don't know. That's being prepared. That's making sure that you're making very good use of your time. You're showing people what to do. I know some people like to see what not to do when they're building it and see how somebody can make a mistake. I don't know. For me, I don't generally. I may make a mistake during a build, but it's not due to lack of planning. It's usually due to something else. So anyway, Retro Mike says, Clore allows the end user to deploy anything to your system. They could deploy a proxy or VPN. Interesting. Very interesting. Good evening, New England Crypto. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Mining King. Oh, issue with Chlor. They require tax ID. Very interesting. And then Retro Mike says you can also link it to your Hive OS instance, which is cool, but you can't control any clocks or fans or anything. And VTool doesn't work with it. Interesting. Yeah, I was going to actually think about going more the Vast AI route like King did. I know he just posted a video saying he was putting something on that, but I haven't. I guess switch around a few things before I can do that. Mining King, did you get my my message? And did you want to join me? Okay, he's recording something right now, so I guess not. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, Mining King has created 2 mining pools. And one is, wow, I want to say Radiance, and that's not right. Radiant. Anyway, Radiant, and then one is Neoxa. So if you're mining Radiant, he would really appreciate some hash rate going his way. He's trying to test a payout, but obviously needs a decent amount of hash rate to increase his chances of hitting a block so that he can make a payout. So if you got something to go that way, do that. And Mining King, yeah, I could join. All right, hang on a second. I will let's see if I can remember how to do this. Shoot. You know how to do it? Asking Sunflower Mama because she's in the studio. And let me see if I remember how to do this. Oh, here we go. There it is. There we go. And let me bring up Discord. And there we go. What was that? Yes. Well, I'm going to let him come in and talk about it. Once he comes in, I will bring that back up. Before we do that, though, I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody had asked me about solar. Let me see if I can find that question. Putting solar in a neighborhood, and who would you recommend? That's a very good question. I would say the one I would not recommend is anything the Tesla panels. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of the company because I've seen them install. The designs are bad. They are only in it to put as many panels on a house as possible. That's the installs that I have seen. They've put solar panels on the north side of the house. I'm sorry, that's just really, really bad. And the company that I went with, which was Sunbadger, is no longer. And so that's part of the problem with some of these companies is that they are around and then they screw up something and they go away. So Sunbadger is who I used, and they do not exist anymore. So my suggestion, let's see if I can find what was the name of that website. Where to buy solar panels. There is a particular website. No. I will know it when I see it. I didn't expect it to go this far down. Sunrun's the company to stay away from, in my opinion. Not a big fan. Wow, I expected this to like pop right up to the top. Oh. Well, I'll have to get back to you on that. There's a particular website that actually goes out and will help you get quotes. And I had good luck. That's where I found mine. They were good when I put them in because they had good reviews and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what kind of problems they ran into, but obviously they ran into a few issues. That's why they went under. Energy Sage. God, it took like forever to find that thing. But Energy Sage is the company, the website that I would suggest going to. Let's just do Energy Sage. You research solar. There's just so much information about solar panels here, way more than I can go over. But they do allow you to get competing solar quotes online and entering a zip code. What I should do is actually get an affiliate code for this. I know a few people that have talked about solar quite a bit, but this is where I went. This is where I got my quotes, and they were very reputable companies. And again, they all have reviews. You can research the companies, but this is where I would suggest starting. All the big guys, I mean, I suppose there is a benefit of the big guys because they're probably not going anywhere as opposed to the smaller ones. But once it's been installed, you're pretty much on your own anyway, unless you need a repair, and then any company is going to be willing to help you out with repair because it's revenue. So anyway, that is where I would suggest going. Argon Starter says, I'm in the middle of the USA and the sun actually moves north in the sky of where I am. So during the summer, north facing panels get a lot of generation. Yeah. They get some possibly, but well, okay. In this particular one, I should be very, very clear. It was a second story and a first story. Okay. They had north facing panels on the second story. So again, I'm in Illinois. So for us, having north facing panels makes no sense. I mean, I could show you, like, it shows you like where the key places are that, let me see if I can, let me do this. It's like Google Solar. And there we go, Project Sunroof. I need to take this off screen for a second. Oh, I'm not even using it. Sorry, I'll be with you in a minute, King. That's funny because I didn't realize I could actually hear you on here. I can hear you. Yeah, I don't think they can. Why is this doing this? I can't. No, the point is I can't get this. It's like stuck. Here, let me do this. There it is. It was like stuck between windows. Let me put that back up. I will be. No, the problem. So King is just razzing me about tabs. I think I'm gonna leave him in the background for a little longer. Maybe I should mute him back there. Anyway, all right. Hold on a second. Project Sunroof, and I'm gonna put my address in, but you guys are not gonna see that, and I'm gonna go somewhere else. But I know in my area. All right, let's do this. Okay, I'm in a completely different neighborhood, so this will work. All right, I'll let King in. But not that way. I'm trying.
How come
here
mine's
we go.
cropped? Or is it supposed to be that way?
No, it's not. That's just the way it is right now. Here, I'll do this. And let me add this to the scene. There we go. There we go. So basically, let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit. So let's take this house for an example. Okay, this way's north, this way's south. The southeast, you can see, is getting a ton of sun. Even the first story that's somewhat shaded by this is getting a lot of sun. The north side, not so much. It's pretty dark. And this is an average over the day. So your panels on the south side of your house are going to pay themselves off much faster than the north side. North side panels take forever to pay themselves off. Any solar company that comes in and tries to sell you on the north side, they're going to average it all together and go, hey, look, it still makes sense. No, tell them what it would cost with just the south facing panels and with both, and take the difference and figure out how much longer it takes. That'll tell you like that difference in price versus the difference in power that tells you how much those panels are generating. And so therefore you can say, well, how long is this going to take to pay itself off? And for me, it was like the difference between, in mine was the difference between southeast facing panels on the first floor or on the second floor and the first floor. The first floor took twice as long because they were shaded for a portion of the day by the second floor. So again, would really highly encourage people not to put them on the north side of the house because they just take forever to pay themselves back. It's going to take 15 years at least. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. Mr. Let me get this out of the way. Remove from scene. No, I don't want that. We'll do this. There we go. How are you doing, Mr. Mining King?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. I was in the middle of doing a video and stuff. I was out in the garage. I'm gonna try, I've had a recent change in employment, so I need to start figuring out some other ways to get some money drummed up. I can't do Lyft or Uber because my 2009 RAV4, even though it only has 70,000 miles on it, it's immaculate, is too old. Right. Amazon Flex isn't hiring, which is the one I really like for delivering packages. It's not hiring in my area. So I can't do that. So it's kind of hard to find something really flexible. So I figured I'm going to grind YouTube for the first month. I'm going to try to do a short and a video every day for the next month or maybe a little bit more. So I was actually in the middle of recording how to set up Vast AI, which is not going to be for everybody.
Right.
It's going to be for intermediate users. There is a lot of downfall to Vast AI. It is not as seamless, as easy as at least what Flux is painting to us right now, right? You know what I'm saying? So from how I'm using Vast AI, it looks like a steaming pile of, can I swear on here? It's a steaming pile of dog shit.
Right.
There's so many things that are broken with it that I just dislike, and it is not in any way, shape, or form user friendly, period. So I like that Jeff Key and his team really had that in focus for what they're trying to do, because this right here, look, all I did was change the GPU, and now I have to delete and start all over again, which is why I'm making the video, so that I was like, well, if I'm already deleting and starting over again for the fourth time, I might as well just freaking record it so I don't have to do it again, right? So I'll go over that in my video. There's lots of things that are wrong with Vast AI, and I feel like their development team they're really concentrated right now on clients versus making their platform for their hosts better. They're more worried about bringing people on from that perspective. So, yeah, it's been fun, man. And then about the mining pools, I know I see him in here, Mr. Retro Mike, man. This dude is amazing, man. I spent the better part of this last weekend working with him, and he was really nice to help me out because like I follow their guides and I always get like 90% there. And it's just that one thing that just makes it not work, man. And so I went through a few VMs getting it to work. So we're using a platform called Mining Core. They support lots and lots of different coins. He actually got Nioxa to work on Mining Core because it's not actually on their coin list, but he got it to work on there. So we're doing Nioxa and I'm doing Radiant. I do have to make some adjustments. There's an error on the pool right now that if you try to use the Stratum address, it's backwards. It's, you know, the website address is supposed to be what the Stratum is, so they just post opposites for some reason. So I got to go inside of Putty and I got to go fix that tonight. So, but then I have to start it. It's pretty nice. You want me to share my screen and I could show everybody the pool? Yeah, let me go to the pool real quick. I checked it not that long ago, and let's see here. We didn't hit anything from what I remember, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see here. Over here, I got so many windows up right now. I got so much stuff I'm working on.
After my own heart.
Yeah. Okay. I believe this should be it. I think so, because it's in red now, which means I'm probably sharing it. Okay. Yep. There we go. So it's nothing fancy. This is just the general, Mining Core. This is the only thing I put is the MK pools. I changed that in the HTML. So I can go into the HTML folder and I can make alterations. I can change things around. I haven't done that part yet because I'm trying to work on content. So Retro Mike is nice enough. He's renting some hash power from he rented some hash power from Clore. We were up to like 600 mega hash for a little while, which was pretty cool. They were 3090s and hey, they were like full bore, like no overclocks, full wattage. I'm just like, dude, he's gonna burn this guy's house down. Mining Kapow on full. So we're so this is it's a pretty decent setup for the statistics. You got your pool hash rate, your miners, the network difficulty. We actually came down. We were right around here when I started, so we were well over 100 terahashes, and now we're down into the 80s. So doing pretty good there. And then you could come to your dashboard. Now my rigs are off right now, right? Because I'm on time of use, right? I use scheduling.
Oh yeah, so that's right. Yeah.
My rigs are in their downtime right now. They got another like 55 minutes before they come back up. So mine's probably it's going to show a couple up here, which maybe I didn't set these, which is why they're probably still on. So they didn't follow their schedule. So that's probably my fault. And then I got a couple people who donated some hash rate. We have Shay who donated, and Boinkers donated some hash rate. Guys are really generous. I appreciate that. And then you can see all the other addresses here and their hash rate and all that stuff. And obviously we have not found any blocks yet. So I could probably pull up the Putty session and people could just see what it looks like. Let me see if I can't share that screen.
Actually, Mia and Milo Mining said, King, you were on time of day today. Usually holidays don't count.
This one does. It says
I thought typically time of day is time of day period, but
yeah,
I don't have it where I'm at. So
yeah, mine's time of day. It doesn't matter. It just if it's on the day, then I have to do it. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas or not. So anyways, I'm not taking that chance. So that's just my fault. So let's see here. And then the connect here, right? This page is wrong. This is like the configuration page. You would want to do US West without the number 1. So you would want to do uswest.mkhosting.org with port 4601. And then for some reason, this is in here. I got to figure out how to delete this because this is part of the default configuration. Because when I add the Stratum in there with the TCP, it doesn't work. You have to delete all of that and just do uswest.mkhosting.org port
Oh,
4601.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is from, I had to do a redirect from my DNS. So I had a DNS for mkhosting.org. So I had it just laying around, so I figured I might as well use it instead of just paying for one.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
we're testing right now. So we're trying to see if we hit a block, if the payout system works correctly, right? Obviously, if
Right.
it gets hung up, Retro Mike, I'm going to call you already. But we're just trying to figure out if we hit a block or if it actually is working how it's supposed to work. So far on either pool, we haven't hit a block. And this is the Noctua one right here. So it's at 630 gigahash for the network. We're at 200 right now. I got to turn I was doing some 4070 stuff today. Usually I had my 4070 on here, but it's on some other coin right now. I haven't changed it back. So I'll probably put like 2 more rigs on here tonight to try to bring it up a little bit. But we haven't
Let me
found
ask
any
you
block.
this. So how much does it cost to run it? Is it like a flat fee or do they take a percentage?
The mining core, I believe it's
Yeah.
open source and free. If
wow.
not, Retro Mike can definitely correct me. But as far as I know, there's no fee. Now I could charge a fee, and I just have it
Right.
at 0.5%, right?
Right.
My thing was though is, this is just in the testing phase and stuff like that. I'm just trying to make sure everything is working properly as it should. I was thinking if there was a pool fee that maybe at the end of every month, either we could have a like a giveaway of however many tokens, or we cash it out and then we could give away like a GPU or something like that. I don't know. I was just trying to think of something else that nobody else is doing right now. So but
well,
yeah,
here's I'm kind of thinking, because basically if you're solo mining and you're solo mining to a pool, you're paying them percent and a half.
yeah.
Like, what's to stop you from setting this up so you can mine to your own pool?
Nothing really. If you did it yourself, you could do it, and you could just use obviously just your IP address, right? You wouldn't have to use the DNS stuff like I did. So you could use this. If I make a new window, will it show up here, or is it only
I think if you, well, we'll see. Try making a new window and see what happens.
No, I didn't. It only does the one window.
I can remove this one from scene, and then you can.
Okay, yeah, reshare. Yeah. So then I'll take you to the place that we actually use, which is mining core. And then I need to share my screen again. There we go. So this is their GitHub. This is the mining core GitHub. I would say their guide is, if you understand Linux and know your way around very, very well, then this guide will make sense. I don't know all the commands, and I do get tripped up, so I needed somebody like Retro Mike, because there's lots of steps that get skipped, you know what I mean? Because they assume that you have a basic understanding, which you may or may not have that.
Well, speaking of Retro Mike, he said this is the preferable way to solo, is how I've been soloing coins for years. I wish I'd known this, because I actually, when I was trying to solo Firo, I was trying to set up my own node on my computer at home so that I could solo to that, and it wouldn't work.
So they have the supported currencies right here. You can click on this, and then I'll do like a Control F, and we'll just type Firo. It doesn't come up, but it's Firo, pal. So maybe Retro Mike can get that to work. So,
well, believe me, I don't want to mine it anymore. But it was just one of those ones that I thought I could solo mine without going to a pool. This was quite a while ago. Retro Mike's like, I should have asked. Yes, I should have. But this is before I think I even knew who you were, Retro Mike. So,
dude, hey, look, man, that guy is, dude, he is really smart. All right,
yes.
I copy and pasted. Dude, he made me an exact guide from the start of making the VM all the way down to the end of Nioxa, every single step, except for the networking stuff, which if you're gonna take this to the outside world, right, you have to do extra networking steps and open up ports and have a DNS. That's kind of on you, right? But he set it up to where you can at least run it locally if you wanted to do that. So with the mining pools, they're essentially like the Nioxa. He told me that it's similar to setting up a master node, which is good. So now I got experience. So when I want to set up a Nioxa master node, I can, right? So yeah, this is really cool. They have, dude, the currency file is really long, dude. They got lots of coins in here.
So what's required to run this? Like how much hardware?
Okay, I overfed it just because I wanted it just to blast through and just load it. Not very much though. It does not use any bandwidth so far, but then again, I haven't had that many users, so I can't tell, right?
Right.
Let me go to my VMware and let me see what resources it's using right now.
Leave it up. Actually, when while you're looking that up, Travelers Travels was asking you, I've got a rig, I'll put it on your pool. How do I get the info?
Okay, here I'll let me get back to YouTube because I don't know how to type comments in this.
Well, you could actually do you have it like in your Misfit mining section?
I do. I put it up in the Kingsman, but I'll put it up in King's Corner right now too.
Okay.
Yeah, US West MK hosting. So I'll do it for both. Port 4600 is for Nioxa, and then US West MK hosting. I messed that up. I forgot the .org. Hold on. And then 4601 is for Radiant. Let me fix this really quick.
Hey, chum change. Make a section tomorrow. I know you said King remind you, but I thought I'd remind you.
US West.
It's a dad joke for those of you that don't know.
And then the website address is the uswest1.mkhosting.org. I'll get them switched around tonight, but I have to remember, I think Retro Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, if I make those changes to the Stratum, I'm going to have to restart the services, which is going to, I think, kick everybody off for a second, I think. So this is just a testing phase. This isn't the final version. I'm just trying to make sure that everything on the pool is, working as it should be working. So they do have Flux in there, though, in their currencies they support. So if anybody wanted to solo mine Flux, or maybe you already are solo mining Flux, so instead of paying that percentage to the pool, you can.
Well, that's my point. Is if somebody's solo mining, this I would think would make a lot of sense. Okay. Exactly what Metro Mike's like. Yeah, I've been doing this for years. So yeah.
I mean, as far as CPU power goes, right now it's using like super little. So I gave it way more resources than it really needs. But let me share that screen here. Stop sharing this one, and then let's go to my VMware. There we go. So this is my VMware. I gave it a lot of cores, a lot of RAM, just because I wanted just to have the install just kind of blast through it. And honestly, I didn't know how much resources it needs. I don't know if you get more people on, right? Is it going to need more and more? So it has 20 V cores. So it has and it has 64 gigs of RAM, and I gave it 200 gigs of my SSD. So far, I have 2 coins on there, right? Because you do have to download the full blockchain. You can do it from a bootstrap, but that means you have to trust that person who made the bootstrap. So to me, the safe thing seems to just download the entire blockchain, which does take a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it.
Yep.
So I'm using about 64. So I got 64 gigs, 200 gigs. Let's see here. Consumed resources. It's using about 22 gigs of RAM. And it looks like used right now, it's used about 82 gigs because I have it on thin provisioned. So it's only going to use hard drives as it's needed, right? So it's using 82 gigs of the 200. So I still got room to probably add another 3 coins, which is about what I want to use.
And then as far as the CPU goes, how much is utilized at this point?
It's looking like 0.5%.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So it's not using that much CPU at all. Now it is. So consumed memory, it's using about 22 gigs. So it does look like, from a memory perspective, that this is highly memory intensive.
Yeah, I'll say you
which isn't
definitely
a
looks
big
like
deal.
what, 64 at a minimum. 32
Yeah.
is probably cutting it a little close.
Well, yeah, it's going to depend on how many coins you want to do, right?
Right.
So
And which coins?
If you're only doing 1 coin, I mean, you could probably get away with like 16 gigs, not a big deal. But yeah, if you're definitely going to do a multi-coin like I am, then yeah, you're definitely going to want some RAM in there. I got 256 gigs, so I could always add more as needed. And I do have I have fiber, so I have a symmetrical connection each way. So people get, I would say, decent ping from me. Like at first I thought it was going to be bad, but I think Hawk was mining to me, and I think it's around 60. So it's not horrible. I think Iowa Crypto Mining, he gets like 45-ish.
Well, that's not bad.
So that's pretty good from him. So if you're overseas, I don't know what you're gonna get. So that's gonna be probably a couple hundred, I imagine, probably at least 200. Because it has to go across the ocean.
Yeah, kind of like the when we used to play with Second TL with a COD, and he'd be like, his ping would be like 250.
Yeah, exactly. I played with him on the other side, and I'm telling you what, that reminds me back in the day when I used to play like Unreal Tournament on dial-up, and you would shoot, and you would have to like anticipate the guy to be like over here, but you're shooting like, you're starting over here, so you're like, okay, he'll be right there by this time. That's how you have to play. It's horrible.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I've been pretty busy working on servers and building stuff. I'm doing the Vast AI video right now. I just got to the part where I got SSH onto the rig, so now we can do all the commands from my computer now. And there was a nice gentleman who helped me from that community. His name is Apex Game. Yeah, super nice guy. I hit him up in Discord because I was having a little bit of an issue. I was running into some obviously not working properly, and so he hit me up. So if you're looking for support for Vast AI, that is kind of the support is going to be the local users in the Discord. You're not really going to hear a lot from the developers themselves, really.
Well, Retro Mike has a message for you. It says if you reboot that server, it should flush the RAM cache. It shouldn't be using more than 3 GB.
Oh, you mean like actually reboot it? Oh man, no, that means we're all gonna get kicked off.
Just telling you what he said.
Yeah, it's all right, man. I'll just give him more. I don't care. I got 256. It's okay. I got more to spare. I'm not worried about it.
Nice. Well, yeah. So it sounds like you've been going down the rabbit hole on a number of things that are very productive.
Yeah.
This whole weekend's been kind of going down the rabbit hole of a lot of different things. One is 2 of our plants out front of our house are dying. Found out that there's a fungus killing them. Great. Just one more thing, right? God, I'm trying to think. I did start going down the rabbit hole of, I know you're not a big Dimo fan, but I did start going down the rabbit hole of how to get a payout. And what I basically figured out is there really isn't anybody that's made a really good video about it. I'm going to try to figure out the simplest way to do it and then make a video about it. Because different people have tried it different ways. Everybody's saying use MetaMask, but you can use Rainbow, and I think there might be some other ones you might be able to use that I think might be easier. So I'm going to try to figure that out probably next weekend. But went down that rabbit hole, and I don't know. Just I'm trying to remember all the rabbit holes I went down. It's one of those things that I probably should just check my my history on my browser and see everything, because it was just like, I don't know. I was watching videos. Did you catch any really good videos this weekend?
I've been constructing Linux stuff. I've been talking to Retro Mike and like going down my own like rabbit holes.
Actually, there was one thing. Everybody's like, where's the crypto market going? And I've been really getting into Coin Bureau, thanks to Chump Change, and kind of evaluating some of the things and piecing together different parts of some of his videos and the points he's made. And one of a couple of things that he said was, when does the crypto market do the best? Crypto market does the best when we are in a easing cycle by the Fed. And right now we're in a tightening cycle for the Fed, which does not mean good things for crypto. But we are heading towards a recession, and maybe a short-lived one, but there are definitely murmurs saying we need to ease, we need to ease, we need to ease, but because inflation's still too high, they're not willing to. So I'm thinking this will really feed into the halving and that cycle, but I'm thinking by the end of this year, we should start seeing some signs of easing, which should be a benefit for crypto. So it kind of goes into what I had predicted. And again, I'm not giving myself a pat on the back or anything. It's just, I think we're going to be trading sideways, maybe a little down between now and the end of the year. We're going to be in that 24 to 30,000 range, I think, still by the end of the year. But it should mean good things ahead. At least it does not appear that we're going towards a default. Regardless of what your opinions are about it, the markets don't like it. That's the key. That's the point. The markets don't like it. Whether it's, stock market, crypto market, whatever, they don't like it. So at least it looks like that isn't going to happen. So, and found it very interesting that everybody in office doesn't want to go through this until the election is over. So the people that aren't the incumbents can't use it against the incumbents. So I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, they all wanted to make sure that whatever solution went into place, that it wasn't going to be until 2025 that this thing would come up again. So anyway, it kind of irritated me, because that means everybody's going to forget about it. Nobody's going to talk about it, because nobody likes to think about it.
Right.
So, anyway, alrighty. Travelers Travels just said, just started mining to your pool. Restarting now. Thought I'd change my rig name to my name instead of hobbyist miner.
Oh man.
All right. Well, hey, do any of you guys have any questions for myself or Mining King?
I guess a little update too for everybody. I also have to work late. Like, I got a lot of stuff going on. So tomorrow's going to be a really busy day. I'm meeting with the Kingsman, and then I also have the Ironfish interview live at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. From what I know, they're still supposed to be showing up, so they haven't said otherwise. So I'm assuming they're going to be there. They've been usually pretty on point with contact so far, so I'll be reaching out to them tomorrow morning just to confirm everything and stuff like that. So supposed to be 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for a live.
I actually should be home from work by then, or maybe I'll just start listening on the way home. One of the two. King, what's the best sticks of RAM? The brand. What do you like to use?
This is like, look, when it comes to RAM, dude, honestly, I could.
Yeah, same here. I don't care.
I don't really care about the RAM. Like, okay, if you're going for RGB look and customizing and for show, because that's all it really matters if you're talking about it at that point, I'll go with the Corsair Dominators, right?
Yeah.
I'll say that the Dominators are the nicest looking, or the what is it, the Ripjaws Tridents, right? Those ones are really high end. They look really nice as well. But as far as like buying RAM, like if I'm buying RAM for servers and stuff like that, dude, I'm going secondhand market and I'm getting whatever the heck is cheapest. I don't care.
See, here's what I'm really disappointed with Chum Change, that he asked that question, Because if he really wanted to start something between me and you, what question would he ask?
Oh, about profitability?
No. Okay, that. But no, I mean, as far as electronic thing that was the brand.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
The brands that will not be named.
I mean, I don't have a preferred memory brand. I don't know that people do. I mean,
yeah, I don't either. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, I have Corsair in my computer. I don't know. I tend to use what is it?
Geo?
No, not Geo. Shoot.
Ripjaws?
Ripjaws, thank you.
The G Skills?
G Skills, that was one. Yeah.
I would say the G Skills are a good solid budget choice. I have used those numerous times over the years, and they've never done me wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of, I mean, when I'm looking at Micro Center, I'm looking at these other brands going, who the heck is this? Who the heck is this? G Skill is like $2 more a stick. I'll go with G Skill because I've used it before. So I've got a comfort zone with G Skill, and they're right there with the lowest priced ones, but never the exact lowest priced ones.
Right.
So yeah, I like the G Skill Ripjaws is kind of my preferred one to go with when I'm not doing RGB, and then when I am doing RGB, yeah, I'll go with the Corsairs.
That was an interesting question, though. I don't know.
Yeah, it came out of left field.
I think that just comes down to, like, I guess, like brand, loyalty and your experience with different brands and stuff like that.
Well, here's a really good question. So, what's your preferred motherboard brand?
Okay, I know people won't agree with me on this, Kay, because I was a huge fanboy, like total all in for this brand, except for their video cards. Now I'll never go back to their video cards, but I still like their motherboards because I'm super familiar with them. It's going to be Gigabyte.
Same here. Absolutely.
I love Gigabyte motherboards.
Same here. So I'm of this mindset. I will do Gigabyte motherboards because I really like their support site. It's really easy to navigate. It's very clear. Anytime I need information, I can find stuff. And I've really had really good luck with their motherboards. Now, the one behind me, I have an Asus in because I was looking for something cheap. It was an Asus Prime board, so it served its purpose. But preferably, I would have gone with a Gigabyte. Most of my other boards are Gigabyte boards. I know that one of our friends had a lot of trouble with a Asus board, and wanted to chuck that one across the street.
Yeah, we'll have to see it. I think it's either a bad board or he needs to take the CPU out of the socket and see if he bent pins or not. So
there's that, and the other thing I thought of was if there were any jumpers on it. See if there were any jumpers that he may need to put back. I'm shooting in the dark. I was looking at it like, does he have the CPU, everything in the CPU connected correctly as far as the power goes? And I checked into the BIOS. I'm like, no, he's using a 12th gen processor. Of course, it's going to support 12th gen processors because that board came out to support 12th gen processors. So I spent at least as much time trying to figure it out as you did. So
yeah,
it was.
I was on a FaceTime call. Yeah,
yeah. I dialed him up on Discord, and then I helped him rebuild his other one. He was having a few issues with that, but I figured figure that out.
So here's an interesting one. What if we go SSDs for preferred SSDs, NVMe's or M.2s?
See, for me, I'll just go the Micro Center brand Inland.
Okay, yeah. If you're going cheap and budget, you can't go wrong with Inland. Another good cheap brand I found on a budget is going to be Silicon Power.
Yeah, I've got one of those in one of my nodes actually.
But if I'm going if I'm going for like speed and I want like something real nice and flashy, I'm going Sabrent. That's probably my favorite. My Gen 4 2 terabyte Sabrent I have in here in my PC. I love it.
Not Samsung?
No.
Stuff is overpriced.
I'm sorry, dude. I never really look. I know like some people love Samsung. They love their monitors, their phones, all their electronics they make. I never got on that Samsung train. I just didn't. Just not me.
I mean, I like the brand. It's not that I don't like it. It's just there's reasons why I won't buy certain things, like overpriced for one. I think that their storage is overpriced. It got a good reputation, it got a bunch of good reviews, and they're like, hey, we can charge more. And yeah, I didn't like that about it. But I had a Samsung TV actually, that lasted forever. Then finally something broke on it, and it was completely repairable. It was easily repaired, and then I kept operating. So I liked that about it. I mean, it wasn't like, it lasted, I think, 12 years, and then it lasted like another 5 to 7 after that before I sold it to somebody or gave it to somebody, one of the two. But yeah, I don't hate the brand, that's for sure. Travelers Travel asks, how long does it usually take for worker to show up on your pool? I've got 40 accepted shares in 10 minutes, but still not showing. Guess I'm impatient.
I mean, usually on most pools, it's about 10 to 15 minutes, I think, for it to fully show up on there. If you're looking at the website, you should see your mining address still come up. Go to the top 20 miners because there isn't 20 miners. So you'll be in the top 20. So if you see your address in there and you're getting accepted shares, it is working. I know somebody else had that issue that it took a while to show up, but other people it's shown up pretty fast. For me, it showed up fast. But then again, my rigs are at my dad's place mining to it, so it's not that far away. I know Dupran can see it. And I think I know Hawk can see it, so he's over in Florida. So I'm not really sure. If it becomes a sporadic problem, then I will have to, ask my, Obi-Wan, Mr. Retro Mike, why this isn't working.
Diesel 846 says my worker showed up right away. Now you said something, you were having problems with the Radiant one. So I guess the question is, which one are you mining to, Radiant or Neoxa?
Okay.
So,
yeah. So for the Radiant one, it's I had them both show up right away though, for me though. So I'm not really sure why it's doing that. Yeah, I'm not sure why some people it's not showing up. Are you guys, when you guys are doing your custom miner configs, are you putting in your wallet and then the .worker name after it, so that way it has your worker name? Because it may be coming up that you don't have a worker name in there, and that's why it's not picking it up. It'll see that your wallet's mining to it, but you don't have a worker, so it thinks there's no one.
Oh, interesting. So you definitely recommend having a worker name on it.
Yeah, I have the worker name at the end of all of mine.
Hey, DJ Mines, yes, there are robots that will cut your lawn.
Yeah, those little.
I see that.
I just seen a commercial for that thing.
Yeah, Linus just did a video on it a little while ago. But yeah, your lawn, wow, it's probably going to take 2 weeks to 3 weeks for it to cut, because it is one of the things that it mows like every day. That's what it does. But man, I know you got a lot of lawn to cut, DJ. That's
just you don't need a robot. You just need to have a kid and just tell him to go mow the lawn. All right. So
I'm with Crypto Perks. I just need a wife. She actually cuts the grass, but mine is not 3 acres. Mine is about 1/3 of an acre. So it's decent size. Definitely decent size. Takes an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Mine takes about like 12 minutes to cut my backyard.
Ours takes a while. Now we do have an electric mower, which is nice. So battery powered.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. It's quiet. You don't have to take it in for oil changes every year. Just got to get the blade sharpened every once in a while. It's nice. Really nice. The only thing is it doesn't always make it through the entire lawn.
Oh man, so far I've mowed mine 3 times. It's not dead yet.
Yes, I mean, it's nice having a big backyard. That's where most of our lawn is. But yeah, the mowing part kind of sucks. Although, so speaking of solar, in Chicagoland area, this was the sunniest May in many years, and my solar has it to prove it, because I have never gotten over 900 kilowatt hours in a month, in the month of May before, and I'm already over 900 kilowatt hours. I'll probably get about another 40 tomorrow, and then Wednesday looks like it has possibility of rain, so maybe I'll get 10 to 15 on that day, but I'll be well over. It'll almost be, it could possibly be the top month. Typically June and July are the top months.
Yeah.
June would be, except it's only 30 days. You know, obviously that's when the summer solstice is. But because it's only 30 days instead of 31, that's where July and May have a little bit of an advantage, but July is closer to the solstice, so you get more, usually get more sun in July.
Yeah, I produce about, in 1 month, about 5,000 kilowatt hours. Except it's not like all mine and stuff like that. You know, I lease mine and stuff. I wish I would have bought it, but it is what it is. I mean, even if I did buy it, it doesn't produce enough because my freaking AC is just like, it's 102 today, so it's just on. It doesn't just it doesn't turn off. You know what I mean? So and it cools down to what, like 80. You know what I mean? So it's just, unfortunately, you have to run your AC a lot in the summertime for us. But in those other months, though, like after it's done being hot, right, then I do see some negative, like $150 bills. You know what I mean? But it's not enough really to cover all of my mining per se. Right. And I'm with that company you don't like, Sunrun, from Costco.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you're leasing it, it's different. But like I said, I should clarify. Earlier on, somebody said, well, the people in the Southern Hemisphere hate you right now. I'm like, okay, I get it. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, or what I was speaking about was people in the United States above, what is that line? No, not that's the north-south line. I'm talking about the point at which the sun goes the furthest north. Yeah, Tropic of Cancer or Capricorn, whichever one it is. One is north, one south. Anyway, whichever one it is, if you live north of that line, that means that having panels, or I should say, the closer you get to that line, okay, north panels could possibly make sense. But in the United States, most of us do not live close enough to that line to make north panels make sense, and certainly not in the Chicagoland area. Okay, yeah, you may be close enough north panels, and if your roof is slanted, you know, not as much. Mine has a steeper slant to it. I think mine's 22 degrees, I think, is the pitch of my roof. See,
the nice thing about the houses in Arizona, most houses are a single story, right? And they're just long, right? So mine's just an A all the way going down, and literally, if you look at my roof, on the top of it's just panels going all the way down either side of it.
Yeah, so, and obviously, if it's like that, the pitch is probably not even 22 degrees. It's probably less. So that makes a big difference too. In my area where you get snow, I think they have a minimum pitch that they want at least new houses to be built with. Certainly, there are houses that have less pitch that are older. You know, that could be a little different. Those usually have different roofing systems and things like that, where it may be like cloth and tar and that type of thing that go on those types of roofs. So your mileage may vary, but in my neighborhood where we have 22 degree pitch roofs, the north side of the house is really kind of silly. But anyway, just want to revisit that because the one person was giving me a hard time. I shouldn't say give me a hard time. He was just kind of making fun and saying, hey. So Argon Strider says, I'm at 1.28 megawatt hours for the month, and that's turning on almost a week in when I got PTO. Paid time off? I'm not sure what that has to do with the solar, but okay.
Maybe was he installing the
maybe he got installed. And that maybe he's just saying that he got installed, but I'm not sure what the PTO stands for. But that's right. But that's a nice amount. Definitely a nice amount. On my when I put mine in, I wasn't mining. So I guess it really wouldn't have mattered. There was only one area I could do it. And when I put mine in, mine covered 83% of my yearly electric. So, and there just wasn't any other place to put it. So, oh, permission to operate. Got it. Got it. Thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, when you have the permission to turn on. Yeah, that's. I think it's such a crock that the electric company has to come out there and give you permission to turn on, and they have to verify everything. I had to wait 3 weeks each time because they had each of the sides I did was a year apart. So, I just think that's a total racket that they get any say whatsoever of your solar.
Yep. Yeah, I'm actually lucky. Well, I mean, in your area, I'm not even sure. Do they have 100%, payback of solar, or is it only like the supply?
No, it's not. It's not 100%. It's like 75%. So I looked at my bill. It wasn't 100 though. What's it say up there?
No, I was looking at Turtle Tech says, got to step up your game. Mining thing is a better backdrop.
Oh, I don't have anything on my TV today, but yeah.
No, what's funny about that is the fact that, remember who helped us both?
Oh, yeah.
Sunflower Mama set this up and helped Mining King with some suggestions for his backdrop.
Now, I do have to still fix that over there. I haven't finished that side, and then I want to add some more of that soundproofing stuff, over right around where my hand's at. So still a work in progress. Look, I'm going to be honest. My studio will never be as nice as Trump's or Hawk's because, let's just face it, I do a lot of computer work in here, so it's going to be a little messy. So mine's a working studio.
I don't know. I like my backdrop. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah.
Yeah, other people have to live in this room, as Sunflower Mama just said.
I'm able to do whatever I want. This is like my own little bat cave in here. I could do whatever in here because I don't share with anybody.
So all that stuff right there is all storage stuff for different things. Some's camera equipment, the GoPro is one of those boxes. But anyway, yeah, you can't see. And then that thing back there actually is a bed on its side with a board on top. So all of that was jerry-rigged so that we can still, if we need to, this is the guest room. So we can still make it into a guest room by taking all that down.
Room. It's a multifunctional room.
Exactly.
When I first started coming on here with you guys, I was actually my back where all the GPU boxes were and stuff like that. Right on the other side of that was my master bed. So I was in my bedroom. I would have to pull the desk in and away from the bed so I could sit there. You know what I mean?
Turtle Tech, you need to be careful. Sunflower Mom is about to ban you. Just saying.
See, I like it though. He has that Misfit Mining symbol up there, and I've always liked the boxes, and of course the huge max voltage sign up there. Gotta love that.
Yep, that's Sunflower Mama created that. Surprised me with it. Okay, was that over a year ago? Yes. Yeah, it was over a year ago.
Yeah.
A while ago. But anyway, I have some ideas on some ways to do the lighting. I mean, hey, she created that, kind of pointing the wrong way, that Misfit Mining thing. I love that thing. I've had people hey, how did you get that thing? Where did that come from? How did you make it? Heck, even Baldini was well, how did you do that? Secret.
Yeah, didn't you win Content Creator of the Year, Max, 2022?
That was actually, you can see that in the background. That was actually sent by Geek of All Trades.
Nice, man. Look, you won an award.
Yeah, well, no. See, the thing is that was the award I was supposed to give out because it says Only Flans Creator of the Year 2022, and I never got around to actually giving it out.
Oh,
it's a little late for that. We're already almost in June.
So I put you on the spot then.
Yes, you did. Well, actually, Geek of All Trades said you can do whatever you want with it, but that was the way I interpreted it. It was like an award for me to give out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Mr. Iowa Crypto Money, my farm will be turning back on in 20 minutes. So we'll have another 40 gigahash.
Actually, would it be 15?
Yeah, it's like a little delay. It's like a couple minutes, I think.
Okay,
so,
got it.
But yeah, so right now, appreciate everybody supporting me. No idea when we're gonna hit this block. We're at 88 gigahash now. We got 8 miners on there. Thank you, everybody. So
Iowa Crypto Mining's complaining. It's like, need more on Mining King's Radiant Pool. I need to get paid. Anyway. Alrighty, guys. Well, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you guys all for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mining King, for joining me. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, man.
Did want to get the news out there about your pool. I will look for the specific instructions because I probably won't be able to do it tonight. I actually got to do work tonight. I've been procrastinating this whole weekend of a project that I have to finish, so I'm going to be up late doing that. But probably tomorrow when I'm watching you guys, I'll probably be doing it at that point because I have Sunflower Mama's computer mining Radiant, and I have the computer in the basement mining Radiant. I can just change those over. So
okay,
that'll be
there you go. Appreciate it.
It's 2 3060s.
Hey man, every little bit counts, man. Hopefully we get to a good point where we're hitting a good amount of blocks and people are actually starting to be more profitable because we're pool mining, but it's solo mining, right? Because we're all just mining to the blockchain. So
yep. Curious, do you have any plans for any other pools?
Yes. I was gonna attempt an Ergo pool. Mr. Mike has they use JavaScript, so it's quite different than these other ones that I've done so far already. So he said it's kind of more on the difficult side. So we'll see. I was going to think about I was trying to do some of the newer coins, like obviously probably try and do a Flux pool, probably a Nexa pool, Ergo pool, obviously Ironfish. Obviously Ironfish. I've been liking Ironfish a lot lately. So yeah,
Pepe?
That what?
Pepe?
No Pepe, no, and especially no damn Dynex. All right, no Dynex. And you notice I didn't include Dynex in my triple.
I did. I wasn't even going to ask, but yeah, I thought I'd throw Pepe in there as a joke.
Well, also they actually they control all the pools, so you have to and that's the same thing with Flux too. So I don't know if I'm even going to be able to do a Flux pool. So you got to get whitelisted because of parallel assets and stuff like that. So
that's right.
So I might not do the Flux pools. So because there's obviously I might skip over Flux. I mean, there's already a bunch of great Flux pools out there. Mm-hmm. But I'll try to do some of the newer coins because if we're able to do some new coins, like let's say a new coin comes out, right? Maybe me and Retro Mike can work on it and we can get it on Mining Core and get it to work. And that way, if there's a new coin that people are interested in the community about, we can all just mine to that and get going on the coin as it comes out. So that might be something in the future. Maybe one of 10,000 projects I'm working on for myself, and then I have my company projects I'm working on. So it's one of many. It's one of many.
Well, congrats on what you've accomplished so far. I think it's awesome, and wish you all the luck in getting things going. So it's nice to have somebody in the community actually going forward, since Panda was nagged about it a bunch of times that he should create a mining pool, and he just flat out refused. So
actually, Panda's not even mining to my pool right now, guys. I mean, it hurts. It hurts.
Oh wow! And he's not even here to defend himself.
I threw it out there just to troll him a little bit.
By the way, Retro Mike says, if you do pigeon, I can shut down my pool.
he does have a pigeon pool, so pigeon coin. Oh man.
No, we wouldn't want it. Yeah, you just got to provide us all that information, and we'll start mining to pigeon to your pool, Retro Mike. There you go.
Right. He's the genius guy. I just followed his instructions and built it, and I could do some of it on my own, but the really detailed stuff like editing the config files and doing all that stuff, that's totally all him. So really appreciate it, man. Couldn't have done without you, man. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate having him be part of the community. just awesome. He's helped me out with a number of different things. He helped me run a Flux node on Hive OS on the same computer as Hive OS because there's some conflicting files. So he created some, I mean, he did a video on it and I just followed the video, but when I had troubles, I contacted him. He helped me through it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun trying some new things. And if you guys are not subscribed to Retro Mike, you need to be. It's fascinating. If you love tech, you love doing like the one-off things that nobody else is doing, you need to check them out. Exactly. And with that said, I'm going to sign off with Mining King, and thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. You guys all have a wonderful night.